Welcome back to 12 Rules for Life. This is our third lesson, and we are beginning with rule number 2. Treat yourself like someone you are responsible for helping. When I read this lesson, I thought it was very philosophical and, for me, a little hard to understand. When we are reading difficult material, it is a good idea to do some pre-reading, to do some work with the text before we just dive into reading it. So, after I read it through the first time, in preparing for today, I looked at all of the headings, the chapter titles within this lesson, and made a list. So we have the first chapter title is "Why Won't You Just Take Your Damn Pills?" The second chapter title is "The Oldest Story and the Nature of the World." The oldest story is from the Bible. The third chapter title is "The Domain Not of Matter, but of What Matters." Matter is material stuff, wood, air, objects. What matters is what is important. The next chapter title is Chaos and Order, Personality, Male and Female. And the next is the Garden of Eden, which is another story from the Bible. Next we come to the Naked Ape. The next will be Good and Evil. All of this seems to have nothing to do with treating yourself like someone you are responsible for. This is very hard to imagine as to what it is going to be about. Let's finish. The next one is the Spark of the Divine. The divine is God. This is a very long one, and that is the end. Okay, now after I looked at all of these headings, I created a document and I studied each one separately to try to understand the main idea and to try to see what the logical argument that Jordan Peterson is making in this essay. And today we will begin studying it like that. I hope we can study the first 4 sections today. So let us begin with the first section. Why won't you just take your damn pills? Now, I want to point out to you the fact that he uses the word damn here means that this heading should be understood almost like a quotation or an exclamation. Why won't you just take your damn pills? It means that there is great frustration behind the saying. It means that we are to imagine a person speaking to us who is frustrated and saying, why won't you take your pills? Let us continue. I'll make it a little bigger for you, even though that makes it hard for me. Okay. In the first paragraph, the main idea is that most people, if you take 100 people, 1/3 of them won't fill a prescription. Fill a prescription means go to the doctor and go to the pharmacy and purchase medicine that a doctor has prescribed. So most people, 1/3, will not even buy medicine that has been prescribed to them, and half of the remaining will fill it. They'll buy the medicine, but they won't take it correctly. So 1/3 plus 1/2 of 2/3. In other words, 2/3 of people will not take medicine correctly that has been prescribed by a doctor. They may not even take it at all. They will not have any of it. The next paragraph asks the question, whose fault is it that people are not taking their medicine? Whose fault is it? Hold on. Okay, is it the fault of the doctor, or is it the fault of someone else? And then he moves on to talk about how psychologists like Jordan Peterson, they don't just write a prescription and give it to the patient and let the patient do all the work. Psychologists follow up and make sure that the patient will take the medicine. Hold on one sec. Let me erase these things. It says that, hold on. Psychologists have the luxury of time with their clients. So Jordan Peterson is saying that psychologists have more success working with people than regular doctors. But the question remains, why won't sick people take their medicine? What's wrong with the sick people? Don't they want to get better? This is a big question, an important question in this rule. Jordan Peterson is making an assertion. He is saying that most human beings will not take care of their own health. This next paragraph, he says what is even worse than not taking your medicine is when you refuse to take care of yourself if you have a transplanted organ. It is bad not to take medicine, but it is worse to ruin a kidney that has been put into your body. It is bad to ruin this kidney because this whole paragraph speaks of how terrible it is to have disease in your kidneys or to have non-functioning, how uncomfortable and bad it is for your health. And the next paragraph talks about what happens when your body rejects the kidney. When your body rejects the kidney, you can die. And if you don't die, you will at least have to go back to dialysis, which was what was so miserable about kidney disease in the first place. Dialysis is no picnic. A picnic is when we take, it's an idiom for something happy and fun. And if it's no picnic, it means it's something unhappy and not fun. Dialysis, which these paragraphs tell you about, is very bad. Again, the question, how can people do this to themselves? They refuse to take medication and then they ruin a kidney they have waited years for and paid lots of money for. How could they possibly do such a thing? And then he goes on to say it's complicated. The answer to the question, why do people do this, is not simple. And in this paragraph, he gives many, many reasons. And for example, the people feel alone, isolated. They have multiple physical health problems, so they are sick in many ways, not just kidney failure. They may be unemployed. They may be in family crisis. They may be cognitively impaired, which means mentally ill or mentally retarded. They may be depressed. They may not trust their doctor, so they don't believe that they must do what he says. Maybe they can barely afford the drugs, meaning they really can't afford them. It's hard to find the money. So they ration the drugs. Instead of taking 4 pills a day, they take 1 a day because they can't afford it. And they do this because they are desperate. And also, doing this is not productive, which means it's not good enough to keep the kidney healthy. So, all of these reasons are reasons that a person might not take their medication and allow their transplanted organ to die. Then in the next paragraph, Jordan Peterson goes on to say, but, okay, and this is amazing, he says. And what he means by amazing is this is key and relevant to our argument. Not that it's really amazing, but that it's very relevant. This is the amazing thing. Imagine it isn't you who is sick, but your dog. So in this paragraph, he goes on to explain that people take care of their pets. They take care of their dogs, but they don't take care of themselves. Even though all of those reasons, they have multiple health problems, they're impaired, they're unemployed, they are poor, those same conditions apply. Yet people are better at taking care of their dog or their pet than they are in taking care of themselves. So the big question, why? What can it be about people that makes them prefer their pets to themselves? How much shame must exist? Shame is the feeling that I am not okay. I don't deserve good treatment. I don't matter. I am not important. My dog is important. I am not important. How much shame must exist for people to take care of an animal, but not of themselves? So, the first section of this lesson establishes the problem. The problem is people do not take care of themselves, but the same people do take care of others. So we remember the rule is treat yourself like someone you are responsible for helping. So we can begin to understand that what Jordan Peterson is talking about is why we, all people, should overcome our tendency to not take care of ourselves. Most people do not take good care of themselves. And this is a problem. And rule number 2 for life is take care of yourself. So, Jordan Peterson is a psychologist, and he is going to try to help us understand why we don't take very good care of ourselves. So the rest of the rule is the philosophy and metaphysics of reality. And Jordan Peterson's idea is that if we understand the truth of reality, it will set us free to live in a healthy, productive way. So he is going to dive into the nature of reality. And he will begin at the beginning, which is the creation of the world. Now remember, we said in rule number 1, Jordan Peterson is a strong evolutionary biologist. His conclusions come from that science. But he also is a student of the evolution of literature and philosophy. And he wants to understand, and he wants us to understand, reality through as many disciplines of science and study as possible. And for the purposes of our study here, we are simply going to allow that the foundational assumptions of Jordan Peterson are fine. Evolution, creation, whatever. We are looking for truth about the nature of reality, materially and philosophically. So he begins with the oldest story and the nature of the world. The beginning of the section. In the beginning of this section, he tells us there are two stories of creation in the Bible. You may know that. The first story of creation is actually not the oldest. The first story, according to Jordan Peterson, is a later development. Hold on. So let us figure out where everything is. Okay. The first story is called the priestly story, and it's the 7 days of creation. The second, older story is called the Yahwist version, and it is contained in Genesis chapters 2 through 11. It involves many stories. And then we need to understand that in order to understand the ancient stories of creation, we need to look at certain ancient assumptions. The ancient people did not think like we modern people think. Scientific truth came about only about 500 years ago. Before that, human beings saw the world differently. We see the world through a scientific lens, which is determinedly materialistic. So we are the children of a naturalistic science. Naturalism says that only the material world is real, and that everything we experience is caused by material causes. However, the ancients saw the world in a different way. They saw the world as a place of action, not a place of things. Action, not things. And to the ancient world where the Bible was written, they saw reality as a story or a drama, not as a material universe. That is one reason why we have so much trouble understanding the creation stories in the Bible. We come from a scientific, naturalistic, deterministic perspective, and they came from a drama-oriented, action-oriented perspective. So, in the understanding of the ancients, subjective experience was the most important thing. Subjective experience includes objects, but more importantly, it includes emotions and dreams and things we experience like hunger, thirst, and pain. In fact, Jordan Peterson points out that pain is more real to us, to human beings, than almost anything. When you are in pain, that is your reality. And so much so that many of the world's traditions regard suffering as the irreducible truth of being. Irreducible. For a long time, I was taught in school that the irreducible unit of matter was the atom. However, now, science understands that atoms themselves can be broken up into more basic units. So the irreducible unit means the most basic unit. Some traditions believe suffering is the most basic. In any case, when someone says in any case, what it means is, I don't think I agree with that. Maybe it's true, maybe it isn't. Let's move on. So Jordan Peterson, by using in any case as his transition, is saying this idea of suffering being the irreducible truth, maybe, who knows? In any case, let us move on with the rest of my argument. So, in any case, that which we subjectively experience, so our experiences, are like a novel or a movie, more so than they are like a scientific description of reality. So, the reality I experience is more like a drama or a movie than it is like a fact. He moves on to give an example of this. He says, if your father dies, what is more true? The despair that you feel, or the fact of a death listed in hospital records? You can, in America, read in a newspaper lists of all the people that died this week. It's called the obituaries. Is that reality? Or is my experience, losing a parent, reality? Okay, moving on. Next section is called the domain, meaning the kingdom or the sphere of influence, not of matter, but of what matters. Does it matter more the emotions a person experiences on the death of a parent, or does it only matter that the death occurred? That is the difference. Matter is material. What matters is what is important. Okay. Okay, now, hold on. All right, now we are going to talk about the scientific world of matter can be reduced to molecules, atoms, and quarks. However, the world of experience has primal constituents as well. These are necessary elements, primal constituents like molecules and atoms, necessary elements whose interactions define drama and fiction. You cannot have a story without certain elements. There are 3 elements. One of them is chaos. One is order. And the third is consciousness. Consciousness is defined as the process that mediates between the two, order and chaos. We have order, we have chaos, and then we have consciousness, which perceives both and chooses a path of life between both. Consciousness. Those 3 are the basic elements, according to Jordan Peterson, of the reality understood by ancient humanity. Since ancient humanity was not scientifically oriented, it was oriented to stories and transcendent truth that can be understood through human experience. Let's see. It is our eternal subjugation to the first 2, order and chaos. Subjugation is the fact that it is controlling us to a certain extent, and we cannot control it. Eternal. We are always subjugated to chaos and order. It is this subjugation that makes us doubt the validity of existence. The fact that we cannot control these elements make us throw up our hands in despair, like this. Oh, this is terrible. Oh, what can I do? Oh, how horrible it is. It makes us throw up our hands and fail to care for ourselves properly. Remember, this rule is that we must treat ourselves the way we treat others who we are responsible for. So we don't treat ourselves well because what's the use? Chaos will descend. It is proper understanding of the third. The third is consciousness that allows us the only real way out. We need a way out of being controlled by chaos and unable to establish order. The way out is by a proper understanding of consciousness. Do you see why I say this is very philosophical and hard to understand? To me. Okay, let us move on. Now we have several paragraphs that talk about chaos and order. Jordan Peterson gives us many, many examples to try to build an idea into our minds, because chaos and order are not words we use in this way very often. So we will go quickly through and point out what he is doing. He is simply giving example after example to try to build an understanding in us of chaos versus order. Okay, so let's see. I can't actually move the page while I have the pen moving. Chaos, the domain of ignorance, unexplored territory. So we have no map. It extends eternally without limit beyond the boundaries of all states, ideas, and disciplines. So chaos is on the outside eternally. Order is on the inside. Chaos is a foreigner, a stranger, a member of another gang, a rustle in the bushes in the night. If you are walking and you hear noise in the bushes, is it a lion who will destroy you? Is it a man who will mug you and a criminal who will kill you? You don't know. That's chaos. A monster under the bed. How many of us, when we were children, were afraid to put our foot down to the floor at night in bed because maybe a monster would grab it from under the bed? Here's one I find very compelling. The hidden anger of your mother, as something a child cannot understand. Why is mother angry when the child did not do anything? The sickness of your child when you don't know how to cure him. That is chaos. Chaos is the despair and horror you feel. It is a subjective feeling. It is a response in us. When you have been betrayed profoundly. Profound means deep betrayal. Etc. Your dreams die. Your career collapses. Your marriage ends. All of these things which are like an earthquake, making the earth beneath you shake. These are chaos, things we cannot control. It is the underworld of fairy tales and myths. The underworld, where the dragon and the gold it guards eternally coexist. The gold is valuable, the dragon is dangerous, unpredictable. Chaos is where we are when we don't know where we are. No map. What we are doing when we don't know what we are doing. It is all of those things and situations we don't understand. Hold on one sec. Yeah, this paragraph is, I would highlight the whole thing. I will read it to you. Chaos is also the formless potential from which God called forth order. In the beginning there was nothing. And the Spirit of God hovered over the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." Pew! Big bang. And there was light. So in the nothing before the Big Bang, that was chaos. It is the same potential, chaos, from which we, made in the image of God, call forth the novel means new, and ever-changing moments of our lives. Chaos is freedom, dreadful freedom. Chaos is not all bad, as you will see in examples to come. Chaos is merely the unknown. In the Enlightenment, they discovered so much and imposed so much order on what was unknown before. In the 20th century, with the technological revolutions, so much that was not understood, that was chaotic in medicine and all forms of technology, were understood and tamed. So chaos is the darkness where there are good things hidden as well as bad, and we need to learn about them and call forth order just as God did. Okay, by contrast, order, by the way, by contrast means the opposite. Let's look at the other side now. Order. It is explored territory. It's hundreds of millions of years old hierarchy of place, position, and authority. Remember, we said in the last lesson that hierarchy, the order of dominance, is older than humanity. Order is the structure of society. It is the structure provided by biology insofar as you are adapted to the structure of society. Insofar, meaning with reference to. Order is tribe, religion, hearth, home, the warm, secure living room where the fireplace glows and the children play, the flag of your nation, the value of your money. Order is the floor beneath your feet. Order is your plan for today. The greatness of tradition, the rows of desks in a schoolroom, trains that leave on time, the clock. Here's something interesting. Order is the public facade we are called upon to wear. The politeness of a gathering of civilized strangers, the thin ice upon which we all skate. Public facade. It is the face you are required to wear in public, because you must conceal anything that is deep that is going on in your personal life. Order is the place where the world matches our expectations and our desires. The place where all things turn out, all results, are the way we want them to be. But order has a bad side. It can be tyranny and stultification. Stultification is where you are not free. When the demand for certainty and uniformity are too one-sided. Okay, let's see. In the domain of order, things behave as God intended. And we are able to think in the long term. That means we are able to make a plan for the future. When we get married and have children, we can put money in the bank for my child's college education. I can think about my retirement when I'm young, because order makes everything predictable, so we can think in the long term. Things work, meaning they work correctly. We do not like it if we are forced out of order. This next paragraph has order and chaos juxtaposed against each other as direct pairs, direct couplets. When you're in order, you have a loyal friend. But when that same person betrays you, you move from order to chaos. When the company you work for fails, your job is placed in doubt. When you file your tax return, it's order. When you are audited, it's chaos. Before the Twin Towers in New York fell on 9/11/2001, Americans experienced order. We had not been attacked on our soil since Pearl Harbor. We felt secure and invulnerable. But after the airplanes hit the Twin Towers and they fell, we experienced chaos. We didn't know if there was any security at all. The very air became uncertain for Americans. What fell? A building? Wrong question. What remained standing? That was the issue. Our understanding of our nation fell and no longer remained standing. In the next paragraph, Jordan speaks about certain famous literary expressions. He mentions order is the shire of the hobbits in The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. And chaos is the underground home of the elves in the book entitled The Hobbit, where a dragon has inhabited their home and is living there. Then he moves on to talk about a book called Pinocchio, which I am reading to my grandchildren right now, which is the story of a puppet. A puppet is a doll made of wood, and you tie strings to its hands so that it can dance like this. In the story of Pinocchio, a puppet is alive and he is trying to become a real boy, and he must cope with chaos as he seeks to call forth order in order to become real. Jordan Peterson thinks this is a very good literary example. The next paragraph, more examples. Order is stability in your marriage. Stability is when that crumbles. Order is the place where axioms organize your experience so that what should happen does happen. For example, if you obey the law, you do not steal, you do not kill, you pay your taxes. In an ordered society, you will not go to jail and have your business shut down by the government and your money confiscated. Axioms. Do this and don't do that, and all will be well for you. Order is the place where that works. Chaos is a new place where tragedy strikes. And when this happens, the territory has shifted, changed. You may be in the same place, but something important has changed. We live in time and space. Even the oldest and most familiar places can surprise us. For example, just a second. We may be happily driving down the road, but time is passing and the brakes could fail in our car, crashing us. We could be walking down the road and our body could have a heart attack. Everything will change. New ideas can destroy old, comfortable certainties. Such things matter. They are real. The final paragraph of this section talks about our brain. They respond to chaos instantly. They have hyper-fast circuits from the ancient days when we used to dwell in trees and snakes could bite us quickly. We have an immediate response that comes from deep down. Later, a few seconds later or a few hours later, may come emotions. Later, they evolved later, they are more complex but slower. And even after that comes reflective thought, thinking, which is the highest order, and it can take years to finish thinking about the meaning of something that happens. All of those responses are instinctive, but the fastest is the more instinctive and comes from the deeper down. Okay, so we're going to stop here and pick up again next lesson as Jordan Peterson is trying to build a philosophical explanation of reality which will help us stand up and carry our load of reality with courage and take care of ourselves better. So, see you next time.